Hey guys, just wanted to make a quick video. I've got a lot of requests for it. In the video, a tip I'm giving you guys today is how to write macros. I have macros for every class and every character I play. They're extremely useful, and I hope that this video can help you learn to write and properly use macros. So let's get started. Okay, so first things first is how to write a macro. It's actually really easy. You simply go to Game Menu, click here on Macros. As you can see, I've got a bunch of them. Like I said, I got a bunch for all of my different characters. You select New, choose an icon. We're going to write one for my G-Wave here. Name it, whatever you want. Doesn't really matter what you name it. And then you get to the point where it says enter macro commands. But we start with hashtag, which is shift 3, and then show tooltip. From there is where you write the actual macro. All that hashtag show tooltip does is it separates it from a power to a macro. And so from here, I would type /cast G-Wave. Make sure when you're spelling it that you spell it exactly the way that the spell in your book is, capital letters and all, and then you hit save. Then you can move it to your bars, target something, and then you can just cast it. And it works like so. Now, powers that do not cause a global cooldown can all be macroed together. So like I said, you can stack multiple powers on top of each other as long as they don't cause a global cooldown. Like here, this isn't a realistic macro you would use for monks, but I have several of my defensive powers on here that don't cause a global cooldown, and it will be cast in the order of Chi Brew, Fortifying Brew, Nimble Brew, Chi Brew again, and then Purifying Brew. So that when I use it, drop it. Just replace this for a second. If I use it, as you see, I've got Nimble Brew, Fortifying Brew, 10 stacks of Elusive Brew due to the Chi Brew being used, and if I were to have stagger, it would be cleared because I used Purifying Brew. And so that's how casting multiple powers works. It can be used for just about anything. As you see here, I can take my Black Ox statue, cast it, it will automatically pull up to where I can drop it, so I don't have to physically go down onto my bars and actually click it. Which is where macros shine the most, because macros save you those few seconds it would take you to pull your mouse down to your bars and physically cast your powers. And the last beginner's tip I wanted to show you guys for macros is writing a mouse over macro. Mouse over macros allow you to just simply place your mouse over the character, cast whatever keybind you have to it, and it will perform the power. If you look here, for paralyze, hashtag show tooltip, cast, bracket, at mouse over, bracket, and then the power's name. And so it works a little something like this. So I can mouse over the target and cast Hilarious on any character I choose. I can do it again over here just to show you guys how it works one last time. As soon as I find an enemy that isn't a mob, oh well, it'll work. Just simply mouse over and then cast the power. Macros are extremely useful when tanking several mobs at once, making it very easy to deal with a lot of ads. Now, of course, these are Pandaria mobs. They're not really that difficult. They're not going to hit me that hard. But if I pull all these guys together, I can pull the statue out without having to click. And then I can mouse over just one of them, CC one if I choose. It really opens up your options for what you can and can't do with your character by having macros. Here shortly I am going to hop over to DPS character and show you what it's like to— hey, leave my statue alone. I'll hop over to a DPS character and show you guys what it's like to use macros on a DPS character, because it's much different using them as a tank as it is opposed to using them as a DPS. Okay, so here's a couple different macros I have on my Fury Warrior. She is pretty low geared, but doesn't matter. I've got my Rage Builder here. If I pull up on my macros, it's here. It's Battle Shout, which doesn't give you rage anymore. Berserker Rage, which gives me a raging blow going into the fight, and a little bit of extra rage on top of the rage I get from my charge, so that when I use it, I go into the fight with a decent amount of rage, and I have a raging blow that I can use right off of the bat. Another one I use is my oh crap button. I use it whenever I'm in extreme defensive help, trying to just live through a fight or pull too many mobs or whatever. When I pop it, it blows all my defensives, and I usually switch to a defensive stance when I pop that button because I'm probably gonna die. One last one I wanted to show you guys on my warrior is my burst macro. My burst macro is somewhere. My burst macro is Berserker Raid, Bloodbath, and Recklessness, which are my 3 main DPS cooldowns. I use it at the start of the fight or with Heroism. Always want to use your macros combined with Heroism, because that's when you're going to get the most out of them. So I can simply pop it and then have this macro on top, which will give me the extra rage for the charge. And so that is DPS burst. Guys, hope that my macro video helped you a little bit. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below, and I will try to answer them as quick as I can. Take care.